Welcome to Vision and Impact, the podcast where we sit down with founders, innovators, and change makers rewriting the rules of the industries. I'm your host, Sharissa, and today's episode is a powerful one. Our guest is Marisa. She's a trailblazer in fine jewelry, and she's a passionate advocate for the real story behind natural diamonds. She's not here just to talk sparkle. She's here to talk truth about sustainability, social impact, and why bringing natural diamonds isn't just a luxury, it's a legacy. So today we're going to be diving into her journey as a founder and what she's been seeing in the evolving jewelry landscape and what we're setting the record straight on lab-created diamonds, including the myths, the marketing spin, and what buyers really need to know. Natural diamonds are funding schools, healthcare, wildlife preservation, and even empowering women across Africa, and nobody's talking about it until now. So let's get into it. This is Vision and Impact, and this is Marisa. Hi, Marisa.
Today?
Doing good. Thanks for hopping on. Where are you calling from?
Well, I actually have my shop in New York City, but today I am out in Long Island in nature on the North Shore looking out at beautiful trees and woods.
Amazing. Well, thanks for hopping on today. I'm excited to get into your journey. And I want to start about what kind of drew you into the industry? What got you started with jewelry?
Well, I have to say that was my husband meeting my husband, because I had a career in the food industry where I would find interesting ingredients for chefs to use on their menu. And I would go to Europe and source all the ingredients and bring them back. This is before local was the rage. And we met at a restaurant one night and he told me he was a jewelry designer. And we ended up starting to date. And I had accumulated so many days at my former company that I'd worked at that I started doing trunk shows with him all around the country. And I thought, wow, this could be a really great business. And I was sort of looking for a move. I had the ideal fantasy job that any human who likes to eat would dream about. I was paid to dine and to travel to find interesting ingredients. I knew all the European suppliers, all the chefs in the United States, and it was just the most fun thing that you can imagine. But I felt like I had sort of gotten to a point where I had imported everything that had really any market share, and everything I kind of over 20 years had gotten everything that every chef would need. And anything else I could have done would have just had less impact. And I was sort of thinking of doing something different. Then I met my husband and he was showing me the jewelry business, and I wrote a business plan, and I went to my bosses at the time and I said, what do you think of this? Do you think like I'm crazy for leaving the food industry and doing this? Because I was really established in the food industry. And they said, no, in fact, we'll find it for you.
Wow. So you went from importing flavors and spices to now working in jewelry.
And diamonds. And I've been doing this now for over 24 years.
Wow. And what would you say motivates you today? What drives you to keep doing what you do?
Beauty of the jewelry is always a driving force for me. But the challenge of building a brand and the challenge of growing my business after like 23 years of having my own store and 24 years of having the company, that is what gets me up every day. Is I am driven to absolutely go miles an hour and just grow as much as I possibly can. And that's what gets me up every morning. And by the way, I was always in love with brand building, even more than jewelry. But when your brand takes off, it's hard to have the time for brand building. That's the
Definitely.
22.
Yeah, you're a natural born marketer, it seems like.
Oh, thank you.
So good. And what would you say in your industry, like what is changing the space right now? Like what is the biggest talk? What are people really interested in? And what have you seen in the past like 5 to 10 years that's really taken the industry by a big change?
Well, a couple of things. I'll mention the smaller one first, because the longer one will have time to explain. But the first, one of the first things that really has been a change is the gold prices. I went to write up a wedding band, a special order, larger, bigger wedding band, the other day, and it was like $4,200, and I was just like, oh. Even though many platinum or regular gold bands were that price at other jewelry stores, we pride ourselves on our pricing. And I was just like, oh my God, that would have been like $2,200 just a couple of years ago, max. Oh my God, I had a heart attack when I saw the price. I even apologized to the customer. But that's been a little bit of a shocker. We've had some sticker shock on the prices of gold. And then, of course, like the whole inception of lab created diamonds has really set our industry into a whirl for many, many reasons. But one is it has, and thank God it's only temporary, but it has, affected the natural diamond market. And that has had real repercussions in pricing, the pricing of natural diamonds, which have come down as a result. And it's also just impacted the world by surprise after centuries and centuries and centuries of having natural diamonds that came from the earth. And here now somebody's, making them in a factory in China. It's just a whole other otherworldly change.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, and we've seen this big immersion of lab grown diamonds here in the past about decade, and it's really taken the industry by storm. Could you break down exactly what the difference is between lab created and natural diamonds?
I'm not a specialist in lab created, so I don't know exactly what carbon they're putting and how they're growing it, but what they are is there's on one hand, you've got on the lab created end, you've got factories with these large, almost like this very large box that looks kind of like a tractor or like a no, like a army tank almost. And they put the diamond in that and they put a compound, I guess, of carbon, and they grow it and expand it with the same amount of pressure under the earth that what natural diamonds are created by. So it takes a ginormous amount of electricity to create and power, natural power, to create this incredible pressure in order to create a diamond. So they create a diamond that way. It's synthesized. It's a synthetic product, to be clear. I want that to be abundantly clear. And they synthetically reproduce what looks like a natural diamond. And then you have natural diamonds, which are like 1 to 3 billion years old, the research we're looking at. They have come up from the Earth's mantle through often a volcano or volcanic soil. They are lodged in a substance called kimberlite. And when you dig a diamond mine, you find the kimberlite, you break open the kimberlite, and there you have diamonds of all varying levels of quality and color, whatever they're genetically predisposed to come after being under the earth for so many years. And once you harvest the diamonds out of the kimberlite, you can sort them. And only about maybe, I don't know, 1 to 2% of the world's rough would even be considered for ring quality diamonds.
Wow.
There's black and brown and diamonds that are sold for like, machinery and things like that. But they're only a small percentage is really ring quality or diamond jewelry quality.
Wow, interesting. And so you hit on a really interesting point about electricity. Lab grown diamonds are very often marketed as more sustainable, more eco friendly. Is that actually true?
Well, sadly, I think that the world has that story completely upside down. And, thanks to the marketing machine of large companies who have invested heavily in lab created, they want to give you a glamorous reason to buy a synthetic synthesized product over buying a natural product by saying it's greener, it's better, it's less expensive, you get a better diamond for your money. But actually, number one, it's not a green product because the harrowing amount of electricity it takes to make one lab created diamond no longer fits in a category of green. However, what it's not talking about is the, I want to say responsible sourcing methods, but the responsible harvesting of diamonds that diamond companies do. Now, I'm not as well versed on a couple of the other main procurers of diamonds from the earth, but I am quite familiar with De Beers, who happens to have my heart and to be my favorite. And De Beers puts so much effort into responsible sourcing that if people knew and the message was clearly out, they would want to buy a natural diamond because buying a natural diamond does so much good for this earth and so much good for the communities where they harvest.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the most powerful things about natural diamonds is really the real world impact that they have in places like you were telling me, Botswana and South Africa. Can you share a little bit about what that looks like?
Oh my gosh, it's just it's so moving and incredible, I can't even tell you. So first of all, and I'm gonna support this with a really fun story, that one of my diamond concerns, one of my favorite diamond tears told me. But first of all, I actually have a couple. One story I wanna tell you about is what they did to move birds that were nesting in a mine, and another one I wanna tell you about is promoting women, which is a major life mission of mine. So first of all, in a nutshell, natural diamonds, take De Beers, for example, one of their major mines is located in Botswana. First of all, they hire all locals in their factory, not only just to operate like the mining, but all the diamond sorting, the marketing, everything that goes on because De Beers has moved their headquarters to Botswana. So first of all, for every hectare they mine, I don't remember if it's 6 hectares or 7 hectares are allocated for wildlife preservation. They
Wow.
hire all local people, but not only do they provide healthcare for the local people, but they also provide healthcare for the whole entire town. In addition to that, and a 10-year-old statistic or 8-year-old statistic was they had lowered the AIDS rate in that community by 30%, so now it's probably 50 to 80%, who knows, but it's more. And they provide a lot of education for, children, especially girls, but all children. They have literacy programs in many towns where they have mined. They or have mines or have mined, both. And they are so concerned with the environment. They had one time they had in one of the mines, they had a nest of birds that had nested in the side of a mine, and they needed to use explosives in that part of the mine to make it larger. And they literally it cost them $100,000 to carefully move the nest away from that area of the mine and relocate that nest so that the mother and the babies would be together and nothing would be disrupted. And the people doing it cared so much about these birds and this nest. It was a really beautiful thing to witness. And in addition, I asked my diamond tears. I belong to an organization of women called Eleanor, and it's about elevating women globally. And we're a group of female founders and CEOs and women in business that help each other. And we also go to other countries and we also help other groups of women in other countries. So I said to one of my main diamond tears, I really want you to organize a trip in India for us because we go on a trip like each year. We've done Morocco a couple of times and Majorca, and we're organizing other trips. I said, I really want you to organize like India for me. And he's like, India? No, India is all about the men. We are going to organize a trip for you in Botswana and Namibia. He said, in Africa, it's all about the women. They are promoting so many women into important executive positions. And even in Namibia, the same thing. They have the only underwater diamond mine in Namibia. I
Wow.
heard it's spectacular to see, and I can't wait to go. But he said that De Beers is really focused on elevating women into high positions of responsibility in Africa. And I thought that was lovely. Then I went to a party he hosted at the JCK show in Las Vegas, and I met the women, and I was literally brought to tears. I had designers that they hired, women who grew up in Africa in the smallest of towns designing beautiful jewelry. I literally had tears streaming down my face. And then he showed me, like, I met the marketing women, I met the directors for sorting. I met all these women doing incredibly high level jobs, and I was just I can't tell you how moved I was. 'Cause we don't think of Africa as being like, a really progressive country, but in this way, with De Beers, they are progressive.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. And there's so much meaning and storytelling that goes in behind behind diamonds. When it comes to diamonds, it's easy to get caught up in buzzwords like sustainable or affordable. But the truth really runs a lot deeper than just that marketing. Natural diamonds aren't just stones formed over billions of years. They're part of a more powerful ecosystem that feels real impact. You know, you said schools for children, healthcare for communities, wildlife preservation, and those opportunities for women across Africa. So lab grown diamonds may mimic the look, but they can't necessarily replicate the legacy or the value or the story. And so choosing
And
that natural diamond means choosing something that lasts.
that is so true. Not to mention, FYI, we're forgetting a really important point too, which is diamonds, natural diamonds are incredibly rare. It costs a fortune to excavate a diamond mine. And then you go through sorting the diamonds, and 1 or 2% of those diamonds are even jewelry quality because diamonds come in all different shades and all different clarities. And you can get a little greenish yellow opaque pebble as a diamond. You have black and brown and a lot of things that are not necessarily used in mostly in jewelry, like our white, sparkly, beautiful diamonds. And so natural diamonds are very, very rare. As are colored stones, sapphires and diamonds and rubies are not falling off trees. You can't grow them in your backyard like you can grow tomatoes. It doesn't work that way. And they're like marvels of nature. Whereas a lab created diamond is just like a factory made thing, like a CZ or whatever. And so they're not rare because you can make a gazillion. And right now we have a gazillion. And right now, as additional million to the gazillion come into the pipeline, not the diamond pipeline, but just a pipeline word, to use that word, the prices continue to drop and drop and drop. It's supply and demand. You can make an endless amount. So it's not really worth anything because it's no longer rare. And that is why the value, where people maybe paid $20,000 or $30,000 for a 4 carat lab created diamond several years ago, that diamond now is being offered to me for $369 or $521. And that price will continue and continue to drop until they're, at your local cute, whatever, casual chain store for $69.99. And to me,
Yeah.
a diamond jewelry gift is sort of something to celebrate a very meaningful moment, an engagement, a wedding, a beautiful diamond pendant your parents got you for graduation. That, to me, that has meaning, and you want to have something special. A natural diamond is special and it's rare. A lab created diamond is just sort of going to be, it's like the next CZ, which I don't mind that kind of jewelry. If you want a fun fashion ring, go for it. But to commemorate a meaningful moment in your life, you should have a meaningful piece of jewelry.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up the topic of value because we do see lab grown diamonds are dropping drastically in price. And then we see natural diamonds have a long, long history of holding or even increasing in value. And so when you see somebody that's considering a lab grown stone or natural grown stone for their engagement ring, purely based on cost, what would you say to them?
Of course, I am the age of the mothers of some of my clients, so I am looking at them from like a very protective standpoint. And I said, listen, for a fine jewelry moment in your life, you should really have a piece of fine jewelry. You don't want to hear someone get down on bended knee and say, I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Traditionally, an engagement ring is a gift for someone's hand in marriage. So you don't want to say, and for your hand in marriage and dedicating your life to me, here is a $391 lab created diamond. I just feel like it kind of lacks the meaning. Now, if that's all you can afford right now, that is totally. And I feel like, and also remember the setting of the ring will then become more valuable than the diamond inside of it. However, I tell people, let's say their budget isn't $300. Let's say their budget is $5,000 or $10,000, and the girl wants a sizable stone. Even if she cannot afford a 4 carat diamond for $10,000, um, that she would want to wear and own forever. You can find 4 carat diamonds for 10,000. They just would not be the quality you really desire. However, let's not forget natural stones of other stones, beautiful gemstones. You could get a gorgeous morganite. I made a beautiful 4 carat emerald ring for $10,000 for one of my friends. Stunning. I mean, it's still one of my favorite rings we've ever made. You can buy a beautiful sapphire ring for $5,000. You don't have to go to something that has no value. That gemstone ring will always retain its value. A lab created diamond the only guarantee of value is that it will decrease as time moves forward.
Definitely.
That doesn't represent a special moment or even a level of commitment to me. I'm like, if that guy can't even get you like a ring that is a natural, like if he has to cut corners on that, then you've missed a fine jewelry moment.
Definitely.
One of the few major ones.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of emotion inside a piece that's given to you. And that's what makes diamonds so special is it's been that center piece or center stone for, memories that have held for generations. So there's a lot more that goes into a diamond than just the price point.
I agree. And there can be emotion behind anything. Like I said to a friend of mine, said, I really want to marry my girlfriend and she wants a 2 carat diamond ring and I can't afford it now. And I just like have to wait until I can collect this money for a 2 carat diamond. And I said, Billy, if she loves you, she should say yes to a plain gold band. However, I did not say a fake gold band. I said gold band, something that's still precious, even if it's simple. Some women would prefer to wear a platinum wedding band and a plain platinum wedding band and not show their wealth with a diamond. I completely respect that, but I'm not saying they should get something on Etsy for $29 that is base metal difference.
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
your wedding band should be precious and your engagement ring should be precious. And there are millions of stunning gemstones from the earth that carry energy that did not come out of a laboratory that you can make a beautiful.
Definitely. I
If
love
you
that.
get a diamond.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of value. Well,
Well,
great.
could be. Or it sounds,
Mhm.
I don't, I mean, what is a stone made in a laboratory carry? Like radiation energy? I don't know. I don't know how they energy from the earth.
Definitely. Well, great. That was a good perspective. The deep value of natural diamonds, not just financially, but culturally and ethically. And so I also think it's important to look in on what the future looks like. I think that these kinds of questions leave our listeners thinking long after, the episode ends. And so talking more about the industry as a whole and really your perspective on your company. And so I kind of want to dig into a little bit about the biggest lesson you've learned as a founder in the industry.
In what arena?
Like, what advice would you give somebody just entering the jewelry world right now, especially somebody that's wanting to build something meaningful?
Oh my God. Like I'm thinking, like I have a million thoughts in my heads, like from, businesses to companies. Well, one piece of advice I would give, if I understood the question properly, after I ran through a million different various answers in my mind, coming up with one for you. Uh, I would say that people should be prepared to give things time. See, I see a lot of people being in a hurry to become millionaires and they want to give their company 1 or 2 years to really take off or they're going to dump it. And one piece of advice is do something you love if you're going to spend 60 or 80 hours a week doing it
Yeah.
or 50 hours a week doing it. But if you love it, don't be so quick to just give it up and dump it. It used to be before social media and all the marketing vehicles, it used to be that if your company wouldn't grow after 5 years. My accountant said that to me one time, and I'm like, "You're crazy." He goes, "Marissa, trees don't grow to the sky." I'm like, "Not in the world I come from. Yes, they do. Yes, they do." And later on, he came back to me and he said, "I was wrong and you were right." Because once you can do Google ads and all this marketing and social media and all of these things, you can just continue to grow your company and to grow your customer base. It's amazing. And I think that you're never gonna have as many clients after 5 years as you're gonna have after 20 years. Give it 20 years. Stop being in such a hurry to make it. Do something you love and that you wanna do every day and allow the time for that to develop and mature and gain traction and then accumulate customers exponentially.
Yep. It takes time, just like diamonds. They take time. It takes time to figure out what you're good at and to build relationships and to build those meaningful connections to really build what you have. It's not an instant gratification type of process to have a business.
It's not. I think that, we all hear get all these Instagram feeds, make $1 million a month by, making videos or whatever for Amazon. I'm sure there's a lot of side hustles that you can do, but it's not any concrete substantial business that is going to last and even leave a legacy or last beyond us. It takes time to cultivate and to grow. You have to give it time to grow organically. And you can help you as a marketing guru can definitely do things to help it grow as well. But I think that you need to allow time to make all that happen. And it takes, and people think, oh, well, with marketing, I can make it grow fast. Think of how long it takes to make one TikTok reel or one good Instagram reel and multiply that by, 100,000. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, I can just get 100,000 followers in 20 minutes, not real
Yep.
ones.
It's all about consistency,
A
real hard consistency.
girlfriend of mine started a company and I really liked it. It was an interesting company. It had an interesting concept. It was gaining traction straight away. And after a couple of years, she don't stop. She insisted on stopping it, but it had so much potential. I wish, because I think if she had stuck with it today, it would be really booming. It would have
Wow.
been really big and amazing. Pardon my water.
It's okay. What would you say is next for your brand and company? What's on your horizon? What are trends that you're watching and investing in? What's next for you guys?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, there's so many things because on one hand, I can come from the jewelry side, and on the other hand, I can come from like the business and growth side. So I kind of have to split those categories in two. From the jewelry side, we do a lot of bridal. And then after bridal, after people have gotten engaged and married, they come to us for push presents, diamond bracelets or tennis necklaces and birthday gifts and anniversary gifts. But I think that one trend, well, it's funny, and I have to kind of preface this with something. When I first started, everybody wanted platinum engagement micro pave down the side. And everybody wanted like a halo because Douglas was the first creator of what is now widely known as the halo. So Douglas Elliott, our designer, was the original creator.
Oh,
And then what happened was then they went to no halo and a plain micro pave diamond band. And then when I moved from my shop to Soho into my shop in New York, people were going just plain bands with no diamonds. And then everybody switched kind of from platinum to yellow gold. And now yellow gold has been trending for the past 10 years or so. I've noticed a slight interest in platinum. And also, everybody always wanted the thinnest, most delicate bands. So we made our bands as thin and delicate as you can actually do, last a test of time and not have a lot of damage. And now I notice people are wanting to go wider on the band. So there's a trend in a wider width band, something that we have some prototypes that we're contemplating now that we're working on. It hasn't quite hit, but it's going to hit. So I'd say maybe bands getting a little thicker and wider in yellow. And also, people can't have to start reconsidering platinum as an option. A lot of women that are like just smothered in wild in yellow gold jewelry, and it looks amazing on them. Layered bracelets, layered necklaces, and they look fabulous. They're saying, yeah, but I think I want my engagement ring to be in platinum and diamonds and diamond bands. So that seems to be popping its head again. And I'm glad because I love platinum as well. I
yeah,
love.
definitely. Well, that's very exciting to see. I've seen very similar trends coming about.
Oh, you have? Oh,
Yes,
good. Good.
definitely. Yeah, the thicker band is really starting to emerge as a popular style.
I do have to give women, though, a little word of warning about that. If they listen to this podcast and think, oh my God, I got to think about a thicker gold band. Remember, whatever your engagement ring band is, you are going to either double that width or more than double that with a wedding band. So do not end thinking you want the thicker band until you've tried a wedding band that's at least the thickness of the engagement ring or thicker, and make sure you like that double width as your forever width, because you will often wear them together and you need to make sure that how thick you want the total look to be, not just the engagement ring. People forget, oh yes, I'm going to be adding a wedding band to this.
Have to think ahead. Awesome. Well, let's go into just something that we call a lightning round. Any kind of book or resource that's changed your perspective or something that you recommend to our listeners?
There is. I mean, all these thoughts about business and growing our business have been like in the back of my head when you've asked me questions, my mind's kind of gone there. And there is a really fun book if you're thinking of starting your own business that is a must read. It's quick, it's fun, it's interesting, it'll make total sense, but that's the E-Myth. And they have different variations on it. The E-Myth Revisited, there's quite a few different ones. And it's just great because it really gives you a clear way of how to run your business. And I have learned so much from that. And it talks about just because you're good at one thing, just because you're a great jewelry designer doesn't necessarily mean that you're great at running a jewelry company. And what pieces you have to put in place to do that. And it talks about having everybody have their own duties and responsibilities within a company. So there's no overlapping, one person thinking the other person did something and that person thinks this person did it. And
Yeah.
it kind of it gets you on the program to start and run your company in the right way from the beginning. It gets you in great habits from the beginning. And I love that book. I benefited a lot from it.
Good. Well, thank you for that. That also is a book that I've read and I highly recommend to anybody that's listening. It's a great book if you're looking to start a business and kind of figure out how to run it the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is one myth you wish you could erase forever?
Well, I don't even know what other myths I could think about besides, okay, there's two. One is I don't like this myth about lab created diamonds being so responsibly sourced and diamonds somehow are dug up by evil people who want to hurt people when diamonds do so much good. Natural diamonds do so much good in this world, and lab created diamonds don't do anything for the environment and do cost a lot of electricity. That, they use a lot of it. So I don't like that myth because that's a story that somehow it was like a challenge of the marketing machine, and the lab created marketing machine apparently got out their message better than the natural diamond machine. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to do good for the earth, buying a natural diamond does so much more for humanity than lab created.
Yeah.
So that's one myth I'd like to,
Amazing.
not to mention that, remember, natural diamonds have value. Lab created do not. So do you want something of value for an important moment in your life or do you not? But another myth is I think a lot of times people think that on a business myth, a non-jewelry myth, on a business myth, I think that a lot of people sometimes think that the best financial decision is not always about doing the right thing. So if you want to be smart financially, you don't always need to do the right thing. But if you want to be smart, if you want to be a nice person, then you can do the right thing, and that they don't always line up. And my experience has taught me, and speaking at some like super high powered financial advisors and people who've had a lot of success, the vote is doing the right thing is always the right financial decision, no matter what the cost. It's always the right decision. And I think people need to stick with that because it doesn't have to overlap. And if you're stuck in between, oh my God, do I do this and make a little more money? Or do I do this and like do the right thing? This will always pay off.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for both of those.
One of my myth crushers right there.
I love both of those. Thank you for that insight. And lastly, what is one prediction that you see in the next 5 years in your industry?
I have to think about how to say this to not sound like a terrible snob. I think lab created diamonds are going to be flooding very low end department stores. And I think that the natural diamonds are going to become much more appreciated and their price is going to now continue to rise back to the ultimate jewel that they truly are. And I see a rise in diamond sales because when you start seeing your lab created diamond at Kohl's for $69.99, you're going to say, you know what? I really need to reset this ring and I need to replace my engagement ring with a natural diamond. So we're going to get like double the sales. So I'm very excited about that. I
Yeah.
think it's going to happen. Or a man will say, I'm sorry, like I thought I was doing the right thing when we both agreed to get you a lab created diamond on your finger, but now I realize that you really need a nice ring and I want to buy that for you. Now that we're married, now that we have our house, I want you to have that. Like, I think that we're going to see some of that come about.
Awesome. And where can people find you and shop your products?
Wow. Well, I've got two websites. I've got marisaperry.com, which is a website that's more like a gallery for you to explore various settings, what we're able to make, all of our custom work. And then we have another Shopify site, which is shop.marisaperry.com. On shop.marisaperry.com, you can buy items that will be shipped to your door within days. So it's all the jewelry is pieces that we've already created that are ready made that can be sent to your door for a birthday gift or for something you want to wear on Saturday night for a particular occasion. So those are two ways to find my product. Aside from, I have a regular retail store in the West Village of Manhattan in the Meatpacking District, which is the coolest, most beautiful and charming shopping district in all of Manhattan right now. And we have a lot of luxury stores and the High Line there and the Whitney Museum Park, and it's just an incredible area. And also you can find me on Instagram at Marisa Perry Atelier, which is the name of my store. And you can find us on Facebook at Marisa Perry Atelier. On YouTube, we have Marisa Perry Official YouTube channel. So if you want any more information like on diamond or diamond purchasing or helpful hints, those are good places to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Marissa. Thank you so much for sharing all your insight, your passion, and really just helping us peel back all the layers on the industry. I mean, I feel like a lot of it is really misunderstood. So the conversation went beyond sparkle. It was about legacy, about impact, and the truth that people really deserve to hear. To our listeners, if there's one thing that you can take away, it's this: natural diamonds are more than just rare, they're powerful. They hold their value. They support real communities. They fund education and healthcare, and they do more. They preserve land and opportunity in places that need it most. So when you invest in a natural diamond, you're not just buying beauty, you're buying into a future that matters. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with someone who's considering a diamond purchase, and follow along for more conversations with founders and innovators shaping their industries with purpose. This is Vision and Impact. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.